Enter build mode by pressing B. Open the inventory by pressing E. Select the flashing red tab. Select the flashing red block. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Open the inventory by pressing E. Select the flashing red tab. Select the flashing red block. Close the inventory by pressing E. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Left-click to place the block. Open the inventory by pressing E. Select the flashing red block. Close the inventory by pressing E. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Move the marker into position. Open the inventory by pressing E. Select the flashing red tab. Select the flashing red block. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Open the inventory by pressing E. Select the flashing red block. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Open the inventory by pressing E. Select the flashing red block. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Open the inventory by pressing E. Select the flashing red block. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Open the inventory by pressing E. Select the flashing red block. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Open the inventory by pressing E. Select the flashing red block. Left-click to place the block. Open the inventory by pressing E. Select the flashing red block. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Open the inventory by pressing E. Select the flashing red block. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. 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 Open the inventory by pressing E. Select the flashing red block. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Move the marker into position. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Open the inventory by pressing E. Select the flashing red block. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. You're done. Leave build mode by pressing B.
We're going to learn about moving material around and resupplying our units. This tutorial will be of most help in preparing for campaign play. We're going to do the entire tutorial with out-of-play forces, first introduced in the Strategic Controls tutorial. We will do everything from the fleet interface. Let's open it now. Open the fleet interface by pressing E. I've created a resource harvesting fortress for you. It has resource gatherers on it, powered by fuel engines, which burn some material. And it generates material when in a resource zone. If you mouse over the material gatherer unit, you'll see it has spawned with 100 materials. These numbers will not change until it enters a resource zone and begins to harvest. Let's move the material gatherer into the resource zone now.
Listening. Moving out.
Move the material gatherer into the resource zone. Select the unit and right-click in the green resource zone ring. With the material gatherer in the zone, it will start to burn some materials to gather much more material. We will need to defend material gatherers in order to survive. I will create a guard vehicle for you. Okay, a guard vehicle has been created for you.
Receiving.
Let's put both of these two units in the same fleet. You were shown how to do this in a Strategic Controls tutorial. Now let's rename the fleet to Processing Fleet by pressing the flashing red button and typing the new name in. What we want to achieve is the material gatherer giving materials to the guard boat.
Moving now.
We will do this using supply types. First, we activate Resource View, which shows loads of extra logistical options. Activate Resource View by pressing the flashing red button or pressing Ctrl R. Now select the material gatherer force. We're now going to set procurement levels.
Listening.
These
Moving
are the
out.
minimum amount
Receiving.
of different resources
Moving
we will
out.
keep.
Receiving.
Resources above these
Listening.
levels can be given away to other forces, but we will never give away so much that we drop below these
Receiving.
procurement levels. Set the material gatherer to only keep a small amount of material, so that it can give a lot to the guard boat. Look for the flashing red button. Now select the guard boat force. Set the guard boat to keep loads of material. Look for the flashing red button. The desired levels are now set, but nothing is happening. That's because we need to assign the supply type of these two forces. There are 3 supply types: Creator, Cargo, and User. The settings determine how energy and material are shared between vehicles. Let's arrange our forces into types now. Put Material Gatherer into Creator type by selecting it and left-clicking the flashing red button. Put Guard Boat into User type by selecting it and clicking the flashing red button. We will now see numbers flying around the screen representing the flow of material between these
Moving
two
out.
forces. You will also see a green bubble outline that shows the forces sharing this material. Supply groups are useful for keeping all forces in a fleet well stocked. But what about supplying distant fleets? I've spawned in a distant boat called Combat Boat with no material, and a supply vessel called Supply Boat with loads of storage capacity for material. We will start by setting Supply Boat to be a cargo type. This will mean that Materia Gatherer tries to fill it up with material. Select the Supply Boat force. Put Supply Boat into cargo type by pressing the flashing red button. I'm now going to move the camera a bit so that you can see everything. We will now wait here until Supply Boat is full of materials. Press the times 10 button in the bottom right corner of the screen to speed up time. Material Gatherer will give material to the supply boat once they have an excess. Because we set guard boat to demand high amounts of material, this will take some time. Whilst we wait, we will configure the supply boat procurement levels. We want to set the procurement levels to the bare minimum, so that most of the supplies are given to the combat boat that we are supplying. Set the supply boat to only keep a small amount of material, so that it can give a lot to the combat boat. Look for the flashing red button. Order supply boat to move near combat boat.
Receiving. Moving
Select
now.
combat boat. Now we will make the combat boat a user type, so that the supply boat provides it with loads of material. Put combat boat into user type by pressing the flashing red button. Now we will set the procurement levels of combat boat so that it can be fully resupplied by the supply fleet. Let's set the procurement for material to its maximum level. Set the combat boat to keep maximum material so that it's always combat ready. Look for the flashing red button. If you move supply fleet back and forth between processing fleet and combat fleet, you'll see that supply fleet will refill and empty its supplies until the combat fleet is full. This tutorial is now complete. It is difficult to defeat in all the battle with only missiles, so we will be looking at how to build a new weapon. This time we will be constructing a simple armor-piercing high explosive, which is ABHE, cram cannon. Cram cannons can make the biggest booms by lobbing massive shells at your target. They work by cramming pellets into the shell and then firing it. The shells are quite slow, but can pack a tremendous punch. We will be constructing this cram cannon on a turret block, which will allow the cannon to rotate and fire in nearly any direction we need it to.
We're going to do some building now. From the Depths uses a novel, keyboard-based building approach, but it also has the more familiar mouse-based building options as well. We always recommend using keyboard-based building, but you can tap F3 at any time to swap modes. We're going to swap you into keyboard-based building now and begin. The instructions will describe everything you need to do to become a master builder. If you cannot manage a step, please press Enter to have it auto-complete.
Since we are building on a turret, we will start with the spine of the cram cannon by setting up the connectors. These will serve to connect the firing piece and autoloaders in the following steps.
Open the inventory by pressing E. Select the flashing red tab. Select the flashing red block. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block.
Now that we've built the connectors high enough, we can add the firing piece. It's the main part of the cram cannon. Without it, the cram cannon will not function.
The wrong block has been placed. We must remove it. Left-click to remove the block. Open the inventory by pressing E. Select the flashing red block. Move the marker into position.
We're going to immediately start building an optimized barrel for the cram cannon. Since we are on a turret, we will make use of the elevation barrel to maximize our vertical firing arc. We only need one elevation barrel.
Left-click to place the block.
Next we will add the motor-driven barrels. These allow the cannon to retain its large field of view, even when regular barrels are added. For this cannon, we are only going to need 4 motor-driven barrels.
Left-click to place the block. Left-click to place the block.
Finally, we will add on 4 regular barrels to the end, which will help improve the cramshell's speed and accuracy.
Open the inventory by pressing E. Select the flashing red block. Left click to place the block. Left click to place the block.
Gauge increasers are vital to make the cram cannon have the big boom that they are known for. We will add 10 gauge increases for this size of cannon.
Open the inventory by pressing E. Select the flashing red block. Left click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Move the marker into position. Move the marker into position.
Payload compactors and pellet boxes need to be placed on payload packers. Therefore, we will jump straight to placing them. Place 12 packers around the connectors.
Select the flashing red block. Move the marker into position. Rotate the marker. 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 Left click to remove the block. Left click to remove the block. Rotate the marker. Move the marker into position. Left click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Move the marker into position. Left click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Rotate the marker. Left click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Move the marker into position. Rotate the marker. Left click to place the block. Move the marker into position.
Next up, we will add payload compactors. When connected to packers, they increase the packing capacity of the shell. Let's make good use of that.
Select the flashing red block. Move the marker into position. Rotate the marker. Left click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Left click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Move the marker into position.
Pellets are what give cram cannon shells their power. The more pellets packed, the more they affect the shells. Hardener pellets increase the armor-piercing value of the shell, which is helpful for busting hulls. Let's add some in.
Select the flashing red block. Move the marker into position. Left click to place the block. Left click to place the block.
Explosive pellets infuse the cram shell with explosive properties, which can make them very deadly. Let's add some explosive pellets to the shell.
Move the marker into position. Left click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Left click to place the block. Left click to place the block.
The fusing box is a vital asset if you wish to have more dynamic shells. They allow features such as penetration depth, inertial, and timed properties. After placing the fusing box, you can press Q on the box to select your fuse. Fusing is optional.
Move the marker into position. Left click to place the block.
The predictor will show the line that the shell will travel, which makes manual aiming much easier. If the AI will be controlling the cannon, the predictor is not required.
Open the inventory by pressing E. Select the flashing red block. Left click to place the block. You're done. Leave build mode by pressing B.
Well done, this cram cannon is complete. This is a rather small and basic cram cannon, but it can set a base for your much larger creations. Before exiting the tutorial, we recommend to check the fusing box by pressing Q on it and see what options for fusing are available. Congratulations, this tutorial is now complete. This tutorial will show you how to place a large but efficient engine that burns materials to create power. This efficient engine will have a lot of material efficiency, but a low power output for its size. Since material efficient engines will save you materials over time, you should look to prioritize building these types of engines over versions that use fuel injectors.
We're going to do some building now. From the Depths uses a novel, keyboard-based building approach, but it also has the more familiar mouse-based building options as well. We always recommend using keyboard-based building, but you can tap F3 at any time to swap modes. We're going to swap you into keyboard-based building now and begin. The instructions will describe everything you need to do to become a master builder. If you cannot manage a step, please press Enter to have it auto-complete.
Just like the previous engine tutorial, we will start with the fuel engine generator block, since it is the most important piece. Without it, the engine will not function.
Select the flashing red tab. Rotate the marker. Left-click to place the block.
Next, we will add the crankshafts, just like before. Remember that a crankshaft can be as long as you'd like, and for this engine, we will keep it short and simple. Next, we will add the cylinders, but this time we'll be adding a couple more than before.
Select the flashing red block. Move the marker into position. Rotate the marker. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Move the marker into position. Rotate the marker. Left-click to place the block. Left-click to place the block.
Now it's time for the carburetors. They provide 125 power to attach cylinders, which makes them less power dense than injectors, but they can also attach to more cylinders at once, which can make them just as strong as injector engines when built right.
Left-click to place the block. The wrong block has been placed. We must remove it. The wrong block has been placed. We must remove it. Left-click to remove the block. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position.
Next up, we'll be adding the superchargers. These blocks connect to carburetors and improve material efficiency when the engine is running at low RPMs. They can benefit multiple carburetors at once, so place them between carburetors where possible.
Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block.
Turbochargers can be tough to place, but are vital for any material-efficient engine running at high RPMs. Connect the main block to the cylinder and the top part to the carburetor. The info for the turbocharger will tell you if it's connected properly.
Open the inventory by pressing E. Select the flashing red block. Move the marker into position. Rotate the marker. Left-click to place the block.
There are left and right variants of the turbocharger. If you have mirror mode on, it will properly place the proper turbocharger on the opposite side. Since we have to rotate the turbocharger around, we must use the other variant for this step, despite being on the same side. With the main pieces added to the engine, let's add the exhausts and connect them. To start off, place the corner pipes in the locations requested. We'll also place corner pipes on the upper cylinders for extra cooling.
Rotate the marker. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Rotate the marker. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Rotate the marker. Left-click to place the block.
Now we will add in the junction pipes to connect the pipes on the lower part of the engine. The layout will appear unusual, but we'll be looking to add inline turbochargers to the system. The gap in the junction pipes will be addressed in the next step.
Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block.
Now we will add a couple of straight pipes to connect the disconnected junction pipes to the exhaust line.
Rotate the marker. Left-click to place the block.
Now we will add more corner pipes to curve the exhaust lines in preparation for inline turbochargers.
Open the inventory by pressing E. Move the marker into position. Rotate the marker. Move the marker into position. Rotate the marker. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Rotate the marker. Left-click to place the block.
Inline turbochargers connect through the exhausts and attach to a carburetor to further improve material efficiency at high RPMs. The more exhaust gas flowing to the inline turbocharger, the stronger it'll be. They will properly mirror just like the regular turbochargers.
Move the marker into position. Rotate the marker. Left-click to place the block.
Finally, let's add the last exhausts to the system. Keep in mind that the inline turbochargers don't need these exhausts, but piping gas to desired locations or connecting more inline turbochargers may be desired.
Select the flashing red block. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. Move the marker into position. Left-click to place the block. You're done. Leave build mode by pressing B.
Well done, you have completed this engine. In time you will find the combinations and placements of blocks that will be even more efficient than this engine. Remember to experiment and find out what works best for you. Also remember that a failed design isn't a failure, it's a learning experience. Congratulations, this tutorial is complete.
The Advanced Projectile System, simply known as the Advanced Cannons, is a fairly complex system that allows a large variety of cannon systems, which can range from small rapid-fire cannons to large cannons firing heavy shells that are capable of dealing massive damage. It uses an ammo controller and shell customizers to allow the creation of various shells. Mastery of advanced cannons will take time, but are well worth the investment. The firing piece is the main piece that is part of the advanced cannon. It is here that you will attach mantlets, gauge increases, coolers and railguns. The mantlet attaches to the front of the firing piece and it allows an increase to the firing angle of the cannon. You can only have one mantlet per cannon and it is necessary to allow a wider firing angle. There are 5 mantlets to choose from for your cannon's needs. Each of them have advantages and disadvantages, so use the one most proper for the cannon you are making. For example, if you are making an anti-air cannon, the AA mantlet is fantastic with its high elevation capabilities, but it has poor azimuth rotation. Put a cannon that uses an AA mantlet on a turret for the best of both capabilities. It's never a bad idea to experiment to find what mantlet is best for the occasion. Barrels attach to the mantlet and serve to increase the accuracy of the cannon, while also being important to allow gunpowder to burn and increase the shell speed. A proper barrel length is dependent on the cannon, so you may need to adjust the barrel length later on once you have everything set up. There are beamed versions of barrels, alongside a heavy barrel counterpart that is more durable, but also much heavier and more expensive. It is best to use as many extended versions of barrels in order to increase durability of the barrel line. The bore evacuator is not a necessary part of the barrel, but it reduces the cooldown of the cannon, which will allow the gun to shoot faster. However, the bore evacuator is not a durable piece and will create a weak point in your barrel line. Choose wisely for its placement since it can fit anywhere on the barrel line. The muzzle brake attaches to the end of the barrel line and reduces the recoil of the cannon while also slightly decreasing shell speed. It's mainly used when further reducing recoil of the cannon is necessary. Just like the bore evacuator, the muzzle brake is an option. With the externals of the cannon covered, let's look at building the functional parts of a cannon. To start off are the gauge increasers. As stated in their name, they increase the gauge of the cannon so it can fire bigger shells. They connect to the back of the firing piece or onto splitters and/or coolers. An advanced cannon only requires up to 8 gauge increasers. Any beyond this are redundant and provide no additional effect. The gauge splitter attaches to either the firing piece, gauge increasers or gauge coolers and serves to turn the gauge line in another direction or 2 separate directions. This can allow a more complex placement of gauge increasers or coolers. Gauge splitters also act as cooling units, which will help increase the rate at which gauge coolers allow the cannon to cool down faster, which will increase the possible fire rate of the cannon. They allow the connection of other parts on them just like gauge increasers and gauge splitters and also connect in the same fashion. There is no technical limit to how many coolers can be used on a cannon, unlike gauge increasers, and there is no penalty to using more. If they make the gun fire too fast, you can always set the fire rate by pressing Q on the fire piece and adjust it in the Advanced Projectile System tab. Connectors serve the simple purpose of expanding the cannon system away from the gauge line. They connect to gauge increasers, coolers and other connectors to allow the placement of autoloaders, railgun chargers and the miscellaneous parts such as the predictor and lasers. With the basics of the gauge line covered, we will now look at one of the most important parts of the advanced cannon, the autoloaders. They come in various sizes which allow for the loading of many shell sizes. You will want to use the proper autoloader size for the shells you are intending to fire. If you are launching 500mm shells, then you may want autoloaders at least 4 meters or longer. You can place autoloaders along the gauge line onto connectors or adjacent to other autoloaders. There is no pen. Ammo clips are vital for storing your ammo shells as you await to fire them. They connect up to 4 sides of an autoloader, except for the 1 meter belt-fed autoloaders, and can stack up on top of each other to increase the number of stored shells. You can even see the shells loaded in the clip for the standard ammo clip. There is a solid variant that doesn't have to render these shells, which will increase the game performance. When an ammo clip is destroyed, the shells will also explode and can chain react, possibly destroying the entire cannon. Make sure your ammo clips are well protected, especially when using larger and more volatile shells. The ammo ejector is an advanced block that connects to the autoloader and will eject all shells in the autoloader and attach clips through the top of it. These shells are still live when ejected and in proper use may cause more harm rather than being helpful. On the other hand, they can also allow for some crafty building and can make even the largest of cannon systems safe to use. There is a variant of the ammo ejector that will eject bullets through the back as opposed to the top. Ammo ejectors are optional on advanced cannons. For the rest of the guide, they will be removed for simplicity's sake. Now that we've got the specifics of autoloaders and their pieces covered, let's go to where we can load the shells. Ammo intakes connect to autoloaders or ammo clips and serve as ports to where shells can be loaded. You will need at least 1 per autoloader clip combination, or the autoloader will never have shells to fire. Later on, this process will be shown once the ammo customizer is discussed. Remember, you only need at least 1 ammo intake per autoloader clip setup, but you can get benefits out of using more than 1. The more ammo intakes you have, the faster the autoloaders and clips can obtain shells. This is quite useful when using belt-fed autoloaders since it reduces the time to fill the attached clips. It's important to ensure that you have enough ammo storage to sustain the ammo intakes. We now have everything in place to make use of the ammo controller and ammo customizers. The ammo controller can be placed anywhere on your craft and ammo customizers connect to the controller in a line. You can add as many customizers as you want, but you will be restricted what can be put into the shell based upon its diameter and autoloader size for your cannon. In this case, there are 5 ammo customizers which allow for 10 modules. If we keep the current gauge of 236mm, it would require at least a 3 meter autoloader in most cases. Rather than removing the gauge increases, we can increase the number of barrels on the cannon to reduce the gauge to a more proper level. With 4 barrels, the gauge is now 95mm, which with 10 modules makes a 950mm shell, which is acceptable. With the customizers placed, we are currently firing a stick of gunpowder and no bullet. So let's change that. You can press Q on the controller to bring up the interface for creating a shell. This will show you statistics of the shell alongside the purpose of each part. For this shell, we are creating a basic kinetic shell that uses an AP capped head, a couple of solid warhead bodies, and a base bleeder. The versatility of shells you can make is quite high, so experiment to find what works best. Once you have your shell, press Q on the ammo intake on the cannon. Select the shell and it will automatically start loading shells. You can simply force assign all ammo intakes on the cannon to accept the shell, or you can create a mixed loadout with different shells by setting them up individually. Now that we have the cannon loaded, let's go over the rest of the additives for the advanced cannon. The one that you will use the most will be the recoil absorbers. They help to absorb the recoil that the cannon causes when it fires. If you have insufficient recoil absorption, then not only will the recoil of the cannon affect your craft more, but your cannon will also suffer an inaccuracy penalty. The laser targeter allows the cannon to automatically set the timer settings for fuses that the advanced cannon shells use. It can be placed on the firing piece, gauge increases, coolers or connectors, and does not require a visual line of sight to operate. This part is essential for creating shells that use timed fuses. The fall-off shot predictor is a basic piece designed for manually operated guns by the player. It will create a trajectory line so you can see where the shot will land. This piece is optional and essentially does nothing for AI-controlled cannons. At last, we have finished covering the main parts of an advanced cannon, and all of this can be used to make most conventional cannons. However, what about railguns? Their parts will be explained in parts beyond this step. If you have no interest in railguns, you can now close out of this guide. Railguns are used to propel high-speed shells at targets that gunpowder-infused shells could only dream of. The railgun fixture attaches to the firing piece of the cannon and serves as the base for attaching barrel magnets. The fixtures require energy on the craft using the cannon, and the more fixtures you have, the more energy that can be used to supply to the attached barrel magnets. Railgun settings can be adjusted by pressing Q on the firing piece and going to the Railguns tab. The advanced projectile system, simply known as the advanced cannon. There are with the gauge connectors with the base. You can place auto ammo clips are vital. The ammo eject. Now that we've got the specific, remember you only need at least one. We now have everything in place to make with the customizers placed. Now that we have the cannon loaded, the laser target, the fall-off shot predictor is at last. We have finished covering. Railguns are used to propel height. Railgun charges are essential for recharging the railgun and are placed on the firing piece, gauge increasers, coolers, connectors, or stacked among each other. The more charges you have, the faster the railgun will charge up.
Lasers are a tech fanatic's best friend, and in From the Depths that is no different. Rather than using material, they rely on engine power to create energy, which is then used for the laser's variable functions, such as accurately shooting craft from a long distance. The multi-purpose laser block is the central hub for your laser system, and its connectors allow you to expand the laser system. The coupler is the main piece that you will use to attach cavities, which are the main source of power for the laser. The laser cavity is where the energy is stored for the laser, and they attach to the couplers. Laser cavities are extended in a line, and you can connect pumps, which will supply energy into the cavity. The laser pump is what provides energy for the laser system. They connect to the laser cavities and convert engine power into energy for the laser system. Laser pumps also come in 3-meter variants, which act as 3 individual pumps. You can mix standard and 3-meter pumps together to provide up to 8 pumps for a single cavity. Single input cavity is a variant of the laser cavity that holds the energy of 4 laser cavities, but only allows 1 pump to be connected to the cavity. These are useful for lasers that need more storage, such as a burst type laser. If possible, use 3-meter pumps to maximize energy generation. Storage cavities is the last variant of the laser cavity. It cannot accept laser pumps, but it stores 40 times more energy than regular laser cavities. These are essential for laser systems that need to store a lot of energy. Since the storage cavity does not allow pumps to be connected to it, use standard cavities covered with several pumps to supply the energy required. Frequency doublers attach to cavities, and they increase the armor piercing value of the laser. The amount that they increase the armor piercing strongly depends on the number of pumps across the whole laser system. The more pumps you have, the more frequency doublers are required to increase the armor piercing to acceptable level. Laser destabilizers will increase the energy used per shot of the laser. This provides an upfront damage increase, but you will use more of the cavity's energy consistently, making sustained damage weaker. Destabilizers will stack and further increase the energy used per shot for that. The Q switch attaches to the coupler and will change the behavior of the emitted laser from being continuous to being a pulsed laser. Couplers can accept up to 4 Q switches, and each one attached will increase the speed at which the laser fires, while decreasing the energy used. Having 4 Q switches compared to 1 Q switch does not make the laser any stronger, it only makes it shoot faster. 1 Q switch systems are great for high damage lasers, while 4 Q switch systems are better for systems that need rapid fire lasers, such as LAMS nodes. Explain. The output regulator is a more advanced piece that can connect to either the multi-purpose laser block or a connector that is part of the system. It will make the energy used per shot be based on the capacity of the cavities as opposed to the energy remaining. It can also regulate how much energy is used per shot below the normal threshold. You can even set an energy limit required before the laser will attempt to shoot. This is useful for ensuring maximum damage. The laser transceiver acts as both a wireless transmitter and receiver of the laser system. They wirelessly connect the system across the craft. It will transmit to any distance in a straight line, even if there are other blocks in the way. This allows you to keep most of the laser system protected inside the hull, while connecting a few parts with the transceivers away from the center. Transceivers are expensive to place compared to connectors. Laser transceivers can allow you to send energy to turret blocks and spin blocks as well. Face the front of the transceiver so that it faces beneath the base of the turret block. Then, place a transceiver facing in a direction that can receive the laser, any side except the flat back side, somewhere over the top of the turret block, on the turret. It can be as high as you like on the turret, as long as it is facing down through the turret block. This will allow you to keep your laser turret small and on the deck if desired. Now that we've covered the basics of how to make a laser system, laser optics attached to the laser combiner and are crucial for as laser optics extend in length, they will have the short-range laser combiner is a special laser. We finished talking about laser combiners, so let's move on to laser cutters. They convert the energy of the laser system into a damaging beam that is used for close quarters attack. Laser cutters will only work if the laser system is not using Q switches on the couplers, and you must have 2 laser cutters facing each other in order to create a beam. They multiply the damage and armor piercing of the system by 10, which will allow you to slice through even the most durable of targets. The last thing to talk about in this guide is the LAMS, which is the Laser Anti-Munition System. The LAMS node We use the laser system to shoot at incoming missiles and projectiles from cram cannons and APS cannons, and attempt to destroy them in the process. They are configurable to target specific sizes or types of munitions. LAMS nodes require enemy munitions to be detected in order to function. You will need munition warners to detect incoming missiles, cannon shells, or a passive sonar to detect incoming torpedoes for LAMS to shoot at.